December 25th, 5:12 p.m. A lone figure stumbles inside the restricted zone of a zoo. A young woman, unaware of the horror awaiting her, crosses the barrier into the heart of danger. In just under 7 minutes, 23-year-old Maya Castillo would be dead, torn apart by a 350-pound apex predator. This is her horrifying story. Before we dig deeper into this shocking story, welcome to Animal Quest. If you're captivated by true, gripping animal stories, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. It helps us bring more real-life stories from the wild to your screen. Let's get started. Maya Castillo was 23 years old, a backpacker from Phoenix, Arizona. She had been traveling the world, documenting her adventures and capturing every breathtaking moment. But on this particular holiday season, she had chosen San Francisco as her next destination. She was visiting San Francisco alone, a city she had never been to before. Many might have called her reckless, but that wasn't Maya. She was curious, thrill-seeking, always looking for her next challenge. She didn't fear the unknown, she embraced it. Maya's sister said she wasn't reckless, just fearless. She would always go the extra mile. Just because she could. She wasn't afraid of what others thought. Maya's social media followers admired her adventurous spirit, but her real adventure was about to take an unexpected turn. Maya was visiting Wildlife Park, a zoo known for its exotic animals. But what Maya didn't know was that this zoo, like many others, had a dark history, one that had already failed once before. The tiger enclosure, home to Tatiana, was located in the northern section of the park. It was considered one of the zoo's main attractions, until it wasn't. Tatiana was no ordinary tiger. She was a Siberian tiger, 4 years old and weighing over 300 pounds, a majestic and powerful creature. But in the months leading up to the incident, she had already shown signs of aggression. Zoo officials said Tatiana's behavior became unpredictable. She lashed out at staff more than once. We had to adjust protocols around her. But she never fully showed her aggression until that fateful Christmas day. But there were more warning signs. Earlier that year, Tatiana had displayed similar violent tendencies, attacking a zookeeper who had been performing routine checks. She had managed to breach the safety of the outer barrier, nearly escaping before being subdued. Yet the incident was kept under wraps, a quiet reminder of the zoo's dangerous past. Despite these incidents, the zoo chose not to change the design of the enclosure, the very one that Maya would soon find herself inside. The zoo's management insisted everything was under control. The staff was trained. The barriers were secure. But as Maya made her way toward the tiger's domain, she had no idea that the deadly predator was only a few feet away, waiting and watching. The day began like any other. The zoo was bustling with families, tourists, and excited children. Maya, like many others, was drawn to the wild creatures, the beauty of nature just beyond the barriers. It was 2:45 p.m. when she entered the park alone. Maya had been exploring the zoo for nearly an hour, taking in the sights and sounds. The tiger enclosure was near the north end of the park. It was known for its magnificent animals. But that day, something was off. Maya wandered toward the tiger's cage around 3:20 p.m. She paused near the perimeter of the enclosure, where the sound of the tiger's growls could be heard faintly through the thick glass walls. But what happened next is the part of the story no one saw coming. 4:50 p.m., a security camera catches something that would change everything. The image is grainy at first, but as the footage clears, you can see her. Maya Castillo. She's standing near the tiger's enclosure, her eyes scanning the area. And then, Maya does something no one expected. She climbs a 4-foot barrier designed to keep zoo visitors at a safe distance. A barrier many have seen but never thought to breach. She just went over, no hesitation. She cleared the fence effortlessly and disappeared from view. Did she drop something? Was she trying to impress someone with her daring stunt? Or was this a tragic mistake fueled by a false sense of safety? A momentary lapse in judgment? It's unclear what motivated Maya to climb the fence that day. She had been near the enclosure for nearly 30 minutes. Was it the thrill of being so close to one of nature's most dangerous predators? Or had she simply underestimated the tiger's ability to strike? Witness said, "I didn't think she'd actually do it. It was It was surreal. 1 minute she was just standing there, looking at the tiger, and the next she was on the other side of the fence. I didn't know what to do. Whatever the reason, Maya's decision to enter the tiger's territory set in motion a chain of events that no one could have predicted. At 5 p.m., the first growl from the tiger echoed through the zoo. It was low at first, a warning, but it quickly turned into a roar of rage as Tatiana, the Siberian tiger, locked onto her prey. Maya was alone. She was vulnerable. Tatiana wasn't just a predator. She was a wild animal, driven by instincts that no barrier could contain. As Maya ventured further into the enclosure, she unknowingly stepped into a lethal trap, and the tiger knew it. Tatiana's escape wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a simple breach of the fence. The tiger's escape from her enclosure was the result of a series of failures, and it was not the first time she had made her presence felt beyond her cage. The tiger's enclosure wall stood at 12.5 feet. In most zoos, the industry standard for these kinds of enclosures is 16 feet. It wasn't high enough, and Tatiana knew it. Tatiana didn't pounce. She hunted, silently, methodically. The few remaining zoo staff were too far away to hear the slight shifts in the air, the subtle movements of her massive paws in the snow. The tiger had been trained in the art of patience. For hours, she paced near the edge of the wall, as if waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and she knew that moment would come. What Maya didn't realize was that the tiger had been sizing her up ever since she crossed into the restricted zone. Tatiana was not just hunting for food, she was hunting for something far more instinctual: territory, and Maya had unknowingly crossed into her domain. As Maya moved further into the enclosure, the tiger waited. She was not just stalking her prey, she was studying every movement. One wrong step, one mistake on Maya's part, and Tatiana would strike. But for now, she remained calm, silent. Tatiana's movements were precise. She knew how to leap. She had done it before. Over the 12.5-foot barrier, through the moat and into the snow. The structure, already flawed, could not stop her. The moat, once thought to be a deterrent, was too shallow and too narrow. Tatiana's powerful limbs carried her effortlessly across it. The barrier, meant to keep the wild at bay, failed in its duty. And now the predator was free. In an instant, Tatiana was on the other side. The tiger, a magnificent creature, was no longer contained by walls. She was outside and she was hunting. And Maya, so close to the edge of the enclosure, was now trapped with no way out. 5:05 p.m. A scream cut through the evening air, sharp, high-pitched, and sudden. Visitors near the northern end of the park froze. Parents turned toward the sound. Staff on break dropped their radios. Something had gone terribly wrong. A maintenance worker, stationed just behind the service building near the tiger exhibit, was the first to respond. He thought it was a prank, a loud noise, maybe a child crying out. But then he saw her. The worker speaks through panic. "Oh my God, there's a girl. She's bleeding. She's torn up." Maya Castillo was lying at the edge of the exhibit's rear service path, just beyond the moat. She had somehow crawled from the snowbank, her clothes shredded, skin torn, blood staining the white ground beneath her. Her injuries were catastrophic. One arm nearly severed at the shoulder, deep lacerations to her back, her legs mangled from the tiger's massive jaws. Her face, barely recognizable beneath the blood. And yet, she was still alive. Panic in the maintenance worker voice. "She's alive! Get help now! We need an ambulance, security, anyone! The tiger's out! The tiger, it's loose! 911, what's your emergency?" Zoo staff shouted. "There's a tiger loose. It's attacked a guest, female, adult. She's not going to make it unless we get help now." Zoo security scrambled to respond. The park was thrown into chaos. Sirens howled as staff began evacuating nearby areas. But for Maya, help had come too late. At 5:12 p.m., 7 minutes after the initial scream, Tatiana returned. She came back not with rage, but with purpose, a hunter returning to finish what she'd started. The maintenance worker screams out, No, get back, stay back!" Maya, barely conscious, couldn't move, couldn't cry out, couldn't defend herself. The tiger was on her in seconds. There was no fight left, no time for rescue. The scene was over in less than 30 seconds. The security team arrived too late to stop it. Tatiana was shot dead at the scene, killed by a single bullet to the chest from a zoo marksman. Her body collapsed over the blood-stained snow, her breathing finally silenced. Maya Castillo died where she lay. Her life ended not in the comfort of family or the safety of home, but in the cold, beneath the shadow of a predator, in a place that had promised safety but delivered horror. Maya's sister said, "She just wanted to see the world. She wasn't trying to die. She didn't think the tiger would hurt her. None of us did." It would take months to understand how Tatiana escaped, even longer to admit that the zoo's walls were never enough, but by then, it was too late. By 6:15 p.m., Wildlife Park was under lockdown. Police tape cordoned off the tiger enclosure. A body bag was wheeled out beneath floodlights, and just a few yards away, Tatiana's massive frame lay covered beneath a white tarp. News anchor said, "This just in. Tragedy at Wildlife Park tonight as a 23-year-old woman was mauled to death by an escaped Siberian tiger." Questions are already being raised about how the animal managed to escape. The response was immediate, and it was fierce. By the next morning, the headlines were relentless. Zoo under fire for outdated enclosure design. Critics say this tragedy was preventable. Why did a tiger have access to guests? An internal investigation was launched. Initial findings revealed that the moat surrounding the enclosure was too shallow and the walls too low. Security footage showed that Tatiana cleared the distance in a single leap, evidence that the habitat was never capable of containing her. Zoo spokesperson said, "We are deeply saddened by the events of December 25th. We're cooperating fully with authorities and conducting a full safety review. Our hearts go out to the victim's family." But for many, that wasn't enough. Animal rights advocates said that this wasn't the tiger's fault. Tatiana was a wild animal placed in a human-designed box that failed. This was a failure of engineering, a failure of leadership, a failure of ethics. Animal welfare organizations across the country demanded answers and reforms. They pointed to a troubling pattern of negligence, where profit and presentation came before safety. Protest signs began appearing outside zoo gates, and among them, photos of Maya. On January 2nd, a candlelight vigil was held in Maya's hometown. Hundreds gathered to mourn a young woman who had only wanted to see the world. Maya's childhood friend said, "She was so full of life. Adventurous, yeah, but smart. She didn't deserve this. No one does." Her parents, too devastated to speak on camera, issued a single statement. Maya's parents said, "We don't blame the tiger. We blame the system that let this happen. We only hope no one else ever has to lose a child this way." Maya's funeral was held privately, but images from that day would circulate widely, her smiling face beside tiger conservation posters. Her name now tied forever to a tragedy that could have been prevented. Protesters chanting, "Justice for Maya, safety for all." And as the public demanded answers, the question lingered, how many more must die before we stop caging the wild? Even after the investigations, the lawsuits, and the public outcry, one question still echoes louder than the rest. Why did Maya Castillo climb into the tiger enclosure? Was it a dare? Was she trying to take a closer photo? Did she believe the tiger couldn't reach her? Or was it simply a fatal misjudgment made in a moment of misplaced wonder? Maya's sister earlier said, she wasn't reckless, just fearless. To this day, no one knows exactly what Maya was thinking. She left behind no note, no video, just silence. Behavioral psychologists said, people have a romanticized view of animals, especially predators. They see them in documentaries, in zoos, behind glass. That illusion of control leads to poor decisions. Retired zookeeper explained that they're not pets, they're not props. A tiger doesn't think like we do. You can raise it, feed it, even name it, but you can't train its instincts out of it. In the months following Maya's death, the wildlife park underwent sweeping changes. The tiger enclosure walls were raised from 12.5 to 20 feet. An infrared perimeter alert system was installed. Security patrols were doubled and warning signs tripled in size. One of the zoo officials said, "We failed to imagine what could go wrong. Now we design for what might go wrong, because next time, there can't be a next time." But even with those upgrades, the question still lingers, not just at Bay Ridge, but in every zoo across the world. What happens when the barrier between human curiosity and wild instinct fails? The answer, tragically, may lie in the blood-stained snow where a 23-year-old tourist took her final breath, face to face with a creature that was never meant to be behind bars. Tatiana didn't escape out of malice. She didn't hunt out of hatred. She acted on instinct, the only truth she had ever known. Tigers are apex predators, symbols of raw, unfiltered nature. They belong in the wild, where trees, not fences, mark their territory. Maya Castillo died because the boundary between human curiosity and animal instinct was ignored. Tatiana died because we, as humans, failed her twice. First by caging her, then by not containing her cage. This doesn't need to be a story of blame. It should be a lesson in respect, in boundaries, in knowing when to admire and when to step back. Let what happened at wildlife parks serve as a permanent reminder. Wild animals are not attractions. They are not entertainment. They are a force of nature, and nature doesn't forgive mistakes. If you found this story gripping, heartbreaking, or unforgettable, there's more. Subscribe to this channel, tap the bell icon, and be the first to watch our next documentary. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and never forget what nature is capable of. Thanks for watching.